As the war in Iran enters its ninth week with no clear end in sight, shipping traffic in the Persian Gulf and the Strait of Hormuz has been completely reshaped, heavily disrupting global markets and supply chains for oil, natural gas, fertilizer and other essential products. Before the United States and Israel launched their attacks on Iran in late February, about 3,000 vessels typically passed through the Strait of Hormuz each month, according to Lloyd's List intelligence. Oil tankers passing through accounted for an estimated 15 million barrels per day of crude and other oil product exports, data from the analytics firm Kepler shows, amounting to about 1/5 of the world's oil trade.
And the pace of tropical forest destruction eased last year from a record high, but has remained at alarming levels, according to a new study that praises decisive government action. The world lost 4.3 million hectares, 10.6 million acres of tropical primary rainforest in 2025, down 36% from the previous year, researchers from the World Resources Institute, WRI, and the University of Maryland said on Wednesday.
Federal Interior Minister Mohsin Naqvi chaired an important meeting in Islamabad where it was decided that the entire record of the Capital Development Authority, CDA, will be digitized within 120 days. The minister said the initiative will improve transparency, speed up official processes, and allow citizens to check the updated status of their applications themselves. Work on the new terminal at Allama Iqbal International Airport has entered its final phase, with authorities expecting to open the upgraded facility for passengers in Lahore later this year. Once completed, the new terminal will double the airport's annual passenger handling capacity from 5 million to 10 million.
Ahead of World Environment Day 2026, the Punjab Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, has intensified its crackdown on plastic pollution, announcing a complete ban on plastic bags below 75 microns in the coming weeks. The move is part of a broader initiative to establish plastic-free zones in major city markets across the province.
Apple is expected to unveil iOS 27 on June 8 during its annual Worldwide Developers Conference. The software update is expected to introduce a delayed, smarter version of Siri powered by Google's Gemini technology, as well as new AI photo editing tools in the Photos app, as reported by Bloomberg.
And the Excise, Taxation and Narcotics Control Department Punjab will introduce 5 new vehicle registration number series for cars next month, expanding options for motorists seeking preferred number plates. The department said vehicle owners will be able to choose numbers from the new series, while premium or fancy numbers will be offered through an e-auction system.
TapTapSend, the leading remittance app recognised by the State Bank of Pakistan as the #1 app for sending money to Pakistan by users and volume sent, has partnered with Olympic champion Arshad Nadeem to highlight the contributions of under-recognised athletes and overseas Pakistanis supporting families back home. The initiative comes at a time when cricket continues to dominate national attention, often overshadowing achievements in other sports. Nadeem, who secured Pakistan's first Olympic gold medal in 4 decades, is the only individual athlete from Pakistan to have secured an Olympic gold medal. Previous gold medals for Pakistan were all won by the hockey team. Nadeem is among a small group of athletes who have brought global recognition to the country despite limited support. The United Arab Emirates said on Tuesday that it was quitting OPEC, dealing a heavy blow to the oil-exporting cartel and its de facto leader, Saudi Arabia, at a time when the Iran war has caused a historic energy shock and rattled the global economy. But what is OPEC and how does it impact consumers? 5 former US officials, including a former top military lawyer, have criticized the Pentagon for not acknowledging potential American involvement in a deadly strike on an Iranian school earlier this year. Some of those officials said it was highly unusual not to release even basic details of the strike after such a length of time.
Nearly all of Europe experienced above average annual temperatures in 2025, a year that included record high marine temperatures and wildfires from the Arctic to the Mediterranean. According to the World Meteorological Organization, the United Nations body released its findings on Wednesday in a joint report produced with the European Centre for Medium-Range Weather Forecasts, ECMWF, painting a grim picture of climate change in the region. A football match that produced 5 goals in the first half, 4 more in the second, and delivered the most exhilarating end-to-end action seen in recent years is being hailed as the greatest UEFA Champions League semi-final of all time, even before kickoff. The Paris Saint-Germain versus Bayern Munich semi-final on Tuesday was predicted to be a goal fest, but experts and fans have been left dumbfounded by the quality of football that bookended those 9 goals.
And US President Donald Trump says Iran is in a state of collapse and has urged a swift lifting of the US blockade as Gulf leaders meeting in Saudi Arabia call on Tehran to rebuild trust after treacherous regional attacks. Meanwhile, Israeli strikes in southern Lebanon have killed 3 emergency workers in what Lebanese President Joseph Aoun described as a war crime.
Indian-administered Kashmir. Rashid Ahmad Mughal was barely 6 when armed rebels barged into their home in Chuntwaliwar village in Gandarbal district of Indian-administered Kashmir. On a freezing January night in 2000, at about midnight, nearly a dozen armed men broke the window by force and entered the Mughals' home, where 6 people were asleep: 23-year-old Ishfaq, his 20-year-old sister Nasima, and younger brothers Ajaz, 8, and Rashid, 6, besides their 2 cousins. Sanitation workers under the Suthra Punjab program staged an unusual protest in Okara after not receiving their salaries for 2 months. In response to the delayed payments, workers dumped garbage on streets, in neighborhoods, and across marketplaces, deliberately making public areas dirty. Videos showing employees throwing trash onto roads have circulated widely.
And Pakistan's pharmaceutical regulatory system has received a significant boost as the Central Drug Laboratory, CDL Karachi, operating under the Drug Regulatory Authority of Pakistan, DRAP, has secured pre-qualification from the World Health Organization, WHO. Officials said the recognition allows the laboratory to test medicines, ensuring compliance with global benchmarks for quality, safety and efficacy, stabilities and efficacy. And the Punjab government has suspended the issuance of FARD as part of a pilot reform to modernise land and revenue systems starting from Sahiwal on May 1. Under the new system, property transactions will be carried out through the Green Property Certificate, which verifies ownership, possession and legal status of land. Authorities aim to replace the decades-old FARD system entirely across Punjab by December 2026.
Xiaomi has introduced 2 new open-source large language models, Xiaomi Memo V25 and Xiaomi Memo V25 Pro. Both models are released under the MIT license, allowing developers and enterprises to use, modify, fine-tune, and deploy them commercially. The models are available through Hugging Face and can be deployed locally on private cloud systems or through Xiaomi's API services. The company is positioning the new lineup for agentic workloads such as coding, content creation, workflow automation, scheduling, and long multi-step tasks.
Banu, 1 terrorist was killed on early Wednesday when Banu police successfully thwarted a terrorist attack by repelling an assault on the Mazanga police post. Officials said, according to police officials, heavily armed terrorists launched an attack on the post in the early hours of Wednesday. However, police personnel responded promptly and effectively, foiling the assault.
After a year and a half of hosting all sorts of events, gigs and workshops, one of Karachi's few community spaces open to anyone and everyone, Kitabgah, has announced that it will be shutting its doors on May 31. In an Instagram post, the management of the venue in Pex said recent gentrification of the area around the citizen-run public library had led to an increase in rent, which they could no longer afford to pay. With her 4-year-old nestled nearby, Dr. Sania Jaffrey consults from home in Karachi. With a patient on the other side of Pakistan via her laptop, she is one of thousands of Pakistani female doctors returning to practice through telemedicine after leaving the profession because of family obligations and workplace barriers to women in the conservative society.
It is a very big deal that the United Arab Emirates, UAE, has announced its abrupt exit from OPEC, the Organisation of Petroleum Exporting Countries. The Emiratis were members even before they became a nation-state in 1971. OPEC is the organisation of mainly Gulf oil exporters, which for many decades controlled the price of crude oil by decreasing or increasing production and allocating quotas across its membership. It had a vital role in 1970s oil crises, which in turn transformed global energy policy. The US will release a limited number of passports that feature a portrait of US President Donald Trump, the White House has confirmed. First reported by Fox News, the passports will be released as part of celebrations for the 250th anniversary of the US Declaration of Independence in July.
And King Charles III's visit to the US was meant to be a celebration of America's 250th anniversary of enduring Anglo-American ties and of the special relationship. But it has also been billed as a rescue mission, and the current state of US-UK relations is strained, a reflection of British reluctance to fully back the joint US-Israeli war against Iran. So the King's goal has been to ease those tensions with a royal charm offensive and, most notably, with his joint address to Congress on Tuesday afternoon.
The United States Senate has blocked a resolution that would have prevented President Donald Trump from ordering military action against Cuba without congressional approval. The Republican-led Senate voted 51-47 on Tuesday, almost entirely along party lines, on a procedural measure that blocked a Democratic-led War Powers resolution as members of Trump's party argued that there are no active U.S. hostilities against Cuba and curbing the president's powers was not necessary. As Iran stares down the economic consequences of a prolonged blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, attention is shifting north. With Gulf shipping lanes disrupted and oil exports constrained, Tehran may seek to depend less on the Gulf and more on a patchwork of railways, Caspian ports and sanctions-era trade networks linking it to Russia.
A potential jet fuel crisis linked to the war in Iran could impact global air travel, with Asia expected to feel the effects first, according to International Air Transport Association, IATA, Director General Willie Walsh. Walsh warned that a fuel shortage during the peak summer travel season in the Northern Hemisphere is becoming a growing concern. He said the crisis would likely begin in Asia before spreading to Europe and later affecting Africa and Latin America.
King Charles III gave US President Donald Trump a taste of his own medicine at a White House state dinner on Tuesday, when he joked that without the British, Americans would be speaking French. As the heads of state traded jokes during their dinner toasts, Charles referenced previous comments by Trump aimed at European allies he accuses of freeloading on defense since World War II.
And an image of United States President Donald Trump will soon appear in some US passports, officials said on Tuesday, shattering another norm as the president aggressively puts his personal stamp on government institutions. There are few precedents anywhere in the world, let alone in a democracy, of displaying sitting leaders' pictures in passports, and Trump would be the first sitting US president featured in Americans' travel documents. And the Republican-led United States Senate on Tuesday blocked a Democratic-led resolution that would have barred President Donald Trump from military action against Cuba without congressional approval. The Senate voted 51 to 47, almost entirely along party lines, on a procedural measure that blocked a war powers resolution, as members of Trump's party argued that there are no active US hostilities against Cuba.